This video is by request. I was asked if I could share yoga poses where we use the yoga blocks to help with alignment and just to open up the body and create space for more flexibility. I hope that you enjoy this video. I've chosen 22 yoga poses that I'm going through, and of course there are so many more. So if you want more videos like this integrating yoga blocks and other yoga tools, please let me know in the comments. I am Anita Goa. If you've never seen me before, welcome. A few things before we begin, and perhaps this is going to be redundant, so pardon me if it is, but I feel that it's worth sharing. There are many different kinds of yoga blocks on the market. The ones that I have, I've had these for years. It's one of the best investments you can give yourself is to buy yourself a pair. But there are many different kinds. I have these foamy ones. There are ones that are made out of cork, of bamboo and tree, and they all have different qualities to them. These are light, they're easy to kind of move around, and I really enjoy these, but you choose what will work for you. The other foam blocks, or the other blocks that I have, are these foam blocks, and they are thinner and they have a little bit more they're wider, basically. You also have these in different kinds of materials. I really enjoy these to sit on because they're a little softer. I've just integrated these blocks in one of the poses for the shoulder stand, but you could very easily use them for any seated poses. I really enjoy them, and I have 4 of them. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that don't feel bad for needing to integrate yoga blocks. It is a fantastic tool. Remember, a tool is there to help you to get to where it is you want to go. Whether it's a car, or it's a bike, or it's a plane, or it's a boat, right? It's a vehicle, basically, to help you to where you want to go. So maybe you feel like you're not able to do whatever the ultimate pose. Think of using the yoga block as a way to help you access that pose and to create space and to create openness. So this doesn't mean that you're a bad yogi because you feel like you have to integrate a yoga block. It means that you are open-minded, that you have a lot of flexibility, and you are willing to use tools to help you to find a little bit more space and to find a position where you can breathe your fullest breath. That's how I look at it, and I hope that that can be helpful. And let me know. Let's get started. It's so great to use a block for standing poses, especially the extended side angle pose, which is so easy to feel crunched in. So you can use 1 block or 2 block to come up as high as you can feel yourself being in a side lateral bend, while then adding on a little rotation of the torso to face up. This way you'll be able to use your legs and your core more and breathe better. And it's the same in the triangle pose as well, but here's a little bit more hamstrings involved, so the muscle that's in the back of your thigh. So again, come up as high as you need to. Rotated triangle pose is really challenging to access, especially because there's so much hamstrings involved. So creating a little bit extra leverage for yourself is the way to go. And if the rotated triangle pose is too challenging, try a rotated lunge. It works perfectly. Low lunge seems like it's, quite an easy pose, but if you elevate your hands and you come up a little bit higher off the ground with your hands, I bet you're going to feel so much more extension and breathe better. The pyramid pose is also a lot of hamstrings involved, a lot of stretching on them, as well as the lower back. So coming up a little bit higher off the ground with your hands can help you to create much more extension in your spine. As well as modified split pose. Now this one is closer to the ground, so it involves a little bit more flexibility. So lifting yourself and supporting yourself and creating openness and extension is the way to go here as well. Lizard pose involves a lot of hips as well as shoulders and, back stretching. So play around with the height here as well. So you can always go higher and then work your way down, or go lower and then work your way up. It all depends, on how you feel on a particular day. No day is exactly the same. So be flexible. This is what flexibility is being open to integrating whatever it is that you feel that you need on that day. Here are a few transition poses. Using the blocks to help you to step back and go into a downward facing dog position can be so helpful. Even staying in downward facing dog with the blocks underneath your hands. But then also to help you to step forward will help you to engage more through the core and then find more flexibility into the hips and into the back. And you might start to notice where it is that you might be feeling really tight or perhaps weak. And then you can, lower yourself closer to the ground as you start to find a little bit more flexibility, more core engagement, and overall connection. And it's a fun, nice little exploration as well. Blocks are amazing for chaturanga to make sure that we don't dip the shoulders below the elbow height. So try to practice that. So sometimes creating a block for yourself can be the best thing. Seated poses. Yeah, we have so many of them. And one is the low Indian squat. Can be super challenging to access. But if you just put something to sit on, it can feel so much better. So just find the height that works for you. As well as the easy seat, it's not so easy, the meditation pose. Elevate the hips so that you can find that extension in your spine and openness. This way you can breathe and you can calm your mind down, and it is such a good place to be. Even for child's pose, it's really lovely to put a block underneath your forehead. It can feel very cooling and calming and centering. And then from there, you can always play around with where you would like your arms or your hands to be. Just finding a position where you can soften and release and relax and restore. So good. And even for challenging poses like a wide angle forward fold, it's great to put the blocks underneath your forearms so that you find a little bit of a stretch as you're bending forward. And if you have a little bit more flexibility, you can always place the blocks under your forehead and let your head rest on it. And same thing for the seated side bend, head to knee pose. Just prop yourself up here so that you find that little bit of a twist and a side lateral bend. Seated forward fold is the same way. Just use as many blocks as you need to. I'm resting my chin on it here, so not super hard, but just very lightly. And then you can maybe move it to your forehead, same thing, just letting your head rest very lightly onto the blocks. And you can also shift the weights the blocks to be to the outsides of your legs and perhaps rest your arms on them. And this gives you a little bit more openness and extension. I love to sit against a wall for the bound angle pose because my spine can feel fully extended, and then place the blocks behind the knees. This is bridge pose. You can place your block underneath your sacrum, your lower back, and you can play around with whatever height it is that works for your flexibility. So of course, if you come up a little bit higher, you'll feel a little bit more of a stretch into the hips and into the shoulders. And fish pose can also be a challenging pose to access without a block. So if you place a block right where your shoulder blades are, make sure that you find a position that feels comfortable. Let your head rest back. See that your knees are bent and knees are together and feet a little bit apart. If you have a little bit more flexibility in the spine, you can come up a little bit higher onto the block. You'll get a deeper stretch into the throat. So this one is good to do after a shoulder stand. And now we have some inverted poses that we can do with the block, like legs up the wall is super comfortable. Do this for 20 minutes and it's the same as having gotten 2 hours of sleep, it said. I love to use these foam blocks for shoulder stand, and I take 4 foam blocks, I put them together, and then I lie over the foam blocks with the head off of the blocks. So make sure that you leave a little bit of room from the edge of the blocks to the top of your shoulders, so that when you roll back, your shoulders are still on the blocks, and you see that my upper arms are now also on the blocks. And this gives a little bit more space for the head and the neck and the shoulders to find that shoulder stand. And of course, from here, you can go into a plow pose as well. And then I love to prop up for a headstand. So if you don't feel comfortable, resting on your head, you can use as many blocks as you need to so that your shoulders and your arms are supported. Go against the wall, and this is a wonderful way of doing a supported headstand where you don't feel as much pressure into your head.